Producer tips.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Doug. Welcome to the channel if you're new. If you're not new, welcome back. It's very nice to see you here again. We've got a little bit of a different kind of video today. I'm actually going to be doing 10 tips for producers. And, this is something that I thought of doing a little while back. As all of you guys know, I never at all in the existence of this channel claim to be a professional producer or anything like that. I am 100% self-taught. Well, I can't say that because I do learn off of YouTube tutorials and everything like that, but I feel like if you're teaching yourself by using YouTube tutorials, you can consider yourself self-taught. But in any case, I am self-taught. I never took a course, a mixing and mastering course or anything like that. So all of these 10 tips that I'm giving are basically from the 5 or 6 years or so of experience that I have making beats, and out of those 5 or 6 years, a huge portion of that actually, I started off making beats on my phone, on GarageBand on my iPhone, and just playing around with drum programming and the little keys that the iPhone gives you and things like that. So, I started really basic and eventually transitioned into using FL Studio, and I do plan on eventually getting more and more familiar with other DAWs as well. But for now, just out of the experiences that I've had, I'm going to be giving you guys 10 tips for those of you that already produce, for those of you that are looking into getting into producing, things like that. Things that I think are worthwhile, things that I wish somebody could have told me when I was starting off. And a lot of these honestly seem very basic, very simple, and already if you do produce music already, you're probably going to be familiar with a lot of these. And eventually I will be doing more and more videos where I give more and more tips and actually go into FL Studio and show how I do certain things in the actual DAW. But for now, this is going to be almost like an overview, kind of like a philosophical or theoretical tips, things that you can do for yourself and not necessarily actual mixing tips in the DAW and the software, things like that. I'll do that later once I actually get screen recording software, things like that. But that is coming. I will be doing that if you guys enjoy this. And so if you end up enjoying this video, be sure to drop a like and let me know in the comment section that you enjoyed it, because that feedback lets me know that making another video is a good step in the right direction. If you guys aren't really rocking with this video, also let me know, and then I'll just leave it at this and I won't even go forward with it. I need that feedback in order to know what you guys want to watch. And so, I think that with that being said, if you want to hit me up on my social media and ask for tips on there, I would also be more than happy to oblige. Follow me on my social media, DM me. And if you want to support the channel, you can subscribe, like the video, comment. The link to the Patreon's in the description, and if you don't want to have to go to another site to support the channel, YouTube also offers a membership option on the channel. It's right next to the subscribe button. You'll see the little join button. You can check out the tiers, the rewards, and see if it's worth your while. So with that being said, we're going to go right into the content, right into the tips. Tip number 1 is make what you like. Honestly, make what you want to make. And by the way, these are in no particular order except for the last 2. The last 2 I feel are the most important, but you can take tip number 5 and use it over tip number 1 or whatever. This is just the order that I thought them in. Tip number 1 is make what you like. If you get too hung up on making something that you think other people would want to hear, if you're trying to make something that sounds mainstream, something that sounds popular, something that, if that's what you want to make, by all means go for it. But if that's not really your lane, if you don't really like the mainstream sound, but you want to make that mainstream sound because you want to draw people to you, it's not the best way to do it, because your work is going to lack passion. It's going to lack the focus that you really, and the love that you really would put into it if you were making something that you were invested in. So even if your taste isn't really what the mainstream, it isn't really in line with the mainstream sound right now, make the music that you would want to listen to. Make music that you're passionate about. Make music that you are invested in, because that love, that passion that you have for your music, that investment that you're putting into your sound is going to translate into the quality of your music, and that will draw people to it naturally instead of trying to do something that's forced. Just always, always, always make what you're feeling like making. And if you feel like making something that's a Pierre Bourne type beat, and if you feel like making something that, Travis Scott could hop on, by all means. But as long as it's what you want to make, that would be the tip that I would give to you. Don't focus on what other people want to hear. Focus on what you want to create. That's a huge tip that it really took me a while to actually do so, to start putting into practice. And I feel like once I started making what I wanted to and stopped really focusing on whether people wanted to hear it or not, my beats to me started sounding better. And that gives me motivation to keep going, and that makes me excited about the music that I'm making. And it leads to me not really caring whether other people get excited about it or not, because I'm excited about it. And that excitement translates into the next beats that you make and draws people to that. You know, people love hearing somebody who is passionate about their music. So I would just say that definitely has to be tip number one. Tip number two, use quality sounds. Use quality samples, drum kits, things like that, man. When I started actually looking around online, you can find tons of free kits that sound awesome. I have this Drumstar kit that I downloaded for free. I think I found it on YouTube. Dude, the sounds that I have now from that kit, the drums, I basically just plug them into my beats, and there's so little retouching, EQing, compressing that I have to do to those sounds. They're basically ready to go right out the gate. It saves you so much time. It makes the beats sound so much better. And like I said, it just makes it easier for you. Now, obviously, you should train your ears and things like that into taking something that is a little bit lower quality and EQing it, mixing it, compressing it, you know, to get that right sound, that awesome sound that you want. You should be able to take something bad and make it sound okay, pretty decent. But for your sake, once your ears are trained, when you feel like you've got a good handle on taking bad sounds and making them sound good in your beats, do yourself a favor and get high quality beat samples, dude. Drum samples, things like that, because honestly, I swear, I have these kick, and it literally is just called kick number 5 off of that kit that I told you, the Drumstar kit. Dude, I plug it in and it literally sounds ready to go. The only thing I change is the volume. You know, I just change the leveling to make it sound nice in the beat, and that's really it. I mean, the thing sounds awesome. I don't compress it, I don't EQ it, nothing. It just sounds great right out the gate. And just having those quality sounds is going to change your beats tremendously. So be sure to take some time, scroll through the internet, dude. You can find so many awesome quality samples to add to your libraries, and it just changes the game. Believe me, it changes your beats. Dude, go to the drum kit subreddit. There are so many awesome kits there. I found this Nothing Was the Same kit. Well, excuse the sounds in the background. I found this Nothing Was the Same drum kit that somebody took the samples from, the actual drum sounds from, and it is so high quality. And I literally have the kick, the snare from Hold On We're Going Home. I have a perk from All Me, you know, things like that. And you can find a bunch of awesome stuff on the drum kit subreddit for free. So give that a look, man. You could find stuff that will change the game for you and your music. So tip number 3 kind of goes a little bit in line with tip number 1. Make what you want to make. But tip 3 is experiment with different genres. You know, play around a little bit, try and become more and more versatile as a producer. Make an R&B beat one day, or make a trap beat, or a old school boom bap beat, or a Afro beats, you know, beat. Just try and perfect your craft in a variety of different sounds, because that will turn you into a more versatile producer, and that will just open up so many more opportunities, so many different lanes for you to make music in. And who doesn't want to be versatile? Who doesn't want to be skilled and well-versed in a variety of different genres? You know what I mean? London on the Track, for example, makes bangers. I mean, I still listen to Digits by Young Thug to this day. That beat is absolutely phenomenal. But at the same time, he just produced Summer Walker's last project, basically the entire thing, and that's full of slower R&B beats that are just phenomenal as well. He's well-versed, he's got a lot of versatility, and that really changes the game for you as a producer. So whenever you feel like it, whenever you're making what you want to make sure to include some other genres in there just to spice things up and train your ears and train your skills as a producer to be versatile. The 4th tip I would have to give you guys is to step back and listen to what you're making every now and then. I know that when you've got your headphones on, or you've got your speakers pointed at you and you're producing and you've been listening to the same beat on a loop for 2 or 3 hours, it starts to sound like it's something really special. It starts to sound like it's something that you're working on that is crazy. But I know for a fact that all of you have had this experience. You're making the beat and you think it sounds awesome, and you come back to it the next day and it just sounds completely different. It sounds like it's not as good as you thought it was. It still sounds like it needs polishing and things like that. That is a key tip for producers, is to don't just make a beat in like 2 or 3 hours and then just upload it immediately. Give it a little bit of time to sit and rest your ears, come back to it, step back and just listen to it. Because while you're in there in the moment, that repetition in your head, it starts to affect the way that you actually hear the beat. Come back to it another day or a few hours later after not listening to it at all. Give it a listen. You'll find so many other things that you want to tweak. You'll find a whole bunch of different flaws in it, and it will just open up your mind to really listening to your beat from an outside perspective and not as the producer. You know what I mean? It really helps. And it just, like I said, I know that it's so tempting to just make a beat and you're super excited about it and you just upload it same day, immediately. And then you come back and listen to it and you're like, man, I should have worked on this a little longer. You know what I mean? So just take that time, step back, listen to your beat from an outside perspective, have other people listen to your beat, and really try and find those flaws and perfect them, because that extra time that you put into your production really will change the quality of your music. Step 5, and I'm going to actually be using for this tip a clip of a beat that I made back in 2016, I think, to demonstrate what exactly I mean with this tip. So tip 5 is do not overuse kicks and 808 slides. Don't do it. Look at this beat that I made in 2016, and you'll see what I mean. Just listen to this. It's absolute garbage. Bear with me. I used to think that was ridiculously fire. I used to think that I was on another level when I made that. Doesn't sound good at all. It's ridiculously bad. The kicks are just being used way too often. I don't remember specifically if I used 808s on that beat or not, but I'm pretty certain that if I had used 808s, they would be sliding all over the place, and I would have just been like, yo, this is the most fire beat I've heard forever. Just don't overuse them. Kicks and 808s are phenomenal. They add so much bounce to your beat. They make them that much harder, but learning to use them sparingly is going to make your beat so much better, dude. It adds so much bounce. It adds so much quality to your beat when you're not overdoing it. When you let the 808 ride a little bit and then every now and then you just add a kick to it. Oh, it's so much better than just going, on the drum pads, just adding kicks everywhere, kick rolls, and oh my God, I want triple kicks here and I want double kicks here, and it's not gonna sound good. Just don't do that. You know what I mean? 808 slides are brilliant when you learn how to use them. They add that little waviness to the beat. They add that ride to the beat, you know what I mean? But if you're going up and down and all over the place, it's distracting and it detracts from the quality of your beat. So learn to be patient when you use kicks and 808s. Use them sparingly, and they will absolutely raise the level and the quality of your beats. Tip 6, use perks and pan them, but don't overdo it. Adding percussion to your beat will create a whole another level of just bounce and fire, basically to it. It just adds that quality. It adds that bounce that we all look for, in the drum patterns. On the off beats, when you've got the perk going, and you can pan multiple perks to different ears so that it sounds like it's surrounding you and like it's coming from different angles, and it gets us bobbing our head and moving to the beat in a different way. Using the perks well can absolutely change a mediocre beat to something really special. So perks, use them, but don't overdo it. Same thing as the kick. If you've got perks going like triple time over here, and then you've got a triplet over here on the left ear, and then you've got like 2 more over here on the right ear, and then you've got this open hi-hat that comes in immediately on the left ear, and I've got another one that comes right after that on the right ear, and then you've got the little wood block and the cowbell immediately on the left ear. It's not going to sound good. It's going to be detracting from your beat. It's going to be distracting, and it's just not going to sound good. But find 2 or 3 perks, I would say. You can use more than that if if you can make it work and you pan them and you mix them and you EQ them to really fit well and sit nicely in the mix and they're not distracting, sure. But I normally take 2 or 3 that fit with the vibe that I'm trying to create, pan them to different ears. You don't even have to hard pan them. Just do like 15, 20%, maybe 30 or 40 if you're feeling like you really want it, to that ear. And just use them sparingly. Use them, like I said, step back, listen to the beat, and you can just feel it where you need that perk, where you need the perk to make that bounce. Where on the offbeat, that open hi-hat is going to sound special. Where in the offbeat that cowbell is going to add a little flair, or where that woodblock is going to make that bounce. It's going to get people moving. But don't overdo it. Don't distract people from the main portions of your beat, which are the melodies, the kick, the snare, and the hats. You know what I mean? And also hi-hat rolls. That goes for hi-hat rolls as well. Don't overdo it. Hi-hat rolls are awesome, and you can use hi-hat rolls in 16th notes, 8th notes, even 32nd notes if you're really going for a nice crisp roll. Use them in triplets. Triplet rolls sound really nice to me. It's just so sick. It sounds great. Don't overdo it. It's going to distract you. It's going to make your beat sound worse and not better. Another thing you can do is hit Alt-R when you're actually putting in your hats in the piano roll on FL Studio, and you can randomize the panning and the velocities, and that will make different hats go to different ears at different times randomly, and it will also make some sound louder than others, and it just adds a little bit of bounce. Don't overdo it. The main key is here, don't overdo it, but using it a little bit will really add some spice to your beat. It really makes it sound a little special. I started using it recently on my beats. If you pay attention to the hats, you can hear that sometimes they transition from one ear to the other, and some are definitely louder than others. And if you do that, even if you just have your hats on every second beat, it'll still sound like it's got a little flair to it, like it's got a little spice to it with no rolls. So don't overdo it. And yeah, that's just another little tip. Tip number 7, take criticism well. So part of the stepping back and listening to it included having other people listen to your beat. And I do this a lot with my brothers. I'll send them beats that are unfinished. I'll send them beats that I'm thinking about posting, and I will listen to their opinions. And a lot of times, my brother David, he'll criticize my beats pretty heavily. He'll be like, yo, this clap doesn't sound really good, or this hi-hat's too loud, it's too shrill, it's got too much high frequencies into it. I don't like the 808 line, the melody's okay, but the drums need some work. And he'll really, let me know. He'll let me have it, and I love him for it, because it really adds to the quality of my beats when I take his opinions into consideration and apply them to my beat. I still make what I want to, and I'll take whatever opinions he's got that I want to take into consideration, and I'll apply them to my beat. But learning to take that criticism and apply it to whatever your music is or whatever you're making is going to make it sound better, because that it's a cliche, but 2 heads are better than 1. Having someone else's opinions can change your beats for the better. Just having someone else listen to it from an outside perspective that isn't biased, that they're not the producer, and having them comment on what they think about your beat is huge. It really helps. And if you're a producer and you want to send me beats for me to listen to on Instagram, and you want to get my opinions on them, I'll do what I can. I get a lot of people to do that send me beats and ask me to listen to them. But if I'm able to, if I've got some free time, I listen to people's beats all the time and send them my thoughts through Instagram. I think that's just taking that criticism well is something that takes a little bit to do. You've been working on this beat for like a week or 2, and you're really passionate about it, and having someone just come and talk down on it and criticize it isn't fun. But learning to take that criticism well and channel it into something positive for your music is going to help you a lot. Tip number 8, don't force a vibe. Don't try to force a beat to work if it's not working. So tip number 1 is make what you like, make what you feel like making. But number 8 is don't force yourself into making something if you don't feel like making something. Every now and then I'll sit down in front of FL Studio and I really don't feel like making a beat, but I feel like I haven't posted one on the channel in a while and I should make something. And that's never the mindset that you want to have going into making a beat. Trying to force a beat to sound good when you're not really into producing at the moment is just not going to work. Don't force that vibe. Don't try to force a beat that isn't wavy to sound wavy because you want it to. If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. You got to be able to learn to give up on a certain beat for a few days or for a few hours and come back to it later when you feel like it and really make it something different and something special. Because if you're not in the mood and you just want to make a beat because you feel like you haven't posted in a while, it's not going to sound that good. It's not going to sound like you've invested time into it. It's not going to sound like you're passionate about it. And it sounds like it's going to sound forced. And people can tell when they listen to a beat that is forced. And something that I used to do a lot. I used to sit down and be like, I have to make a beat today. I have to do it. And I would make something that I didn't want to make, and it would just sound trash, you know, but I would be like, oh, I made a beat, at least, you know, and that's not the way to do it. Don't force it. Don't force it. Let it happen naturally. Let the vibes come. The waviness comes naturally. And when you're in that mood, when you're in the right groove and you're going to make something, it's going to sound special. It's going to sound dope. But if you're forcing it, it's just going to sound forced. We're on to the last 2 tips, and I feel like these are the most important, so pay attention. If you haven't been paying attention until now, pay attention now. Tip number 9 is just never stop learning and practicing and producing. Never, ever stop learning and practicing and producing. You could be Kanye West, you could be Mike Dean, you could be someone newer, Pierre Bourne, Nick Mira, you could be London on the Track, you could be Metro Boomin, you could be, you know, Noah Shabib, you know, you could be a legend in the game, you could be Dr. Dre. Don't stop learning, don't stop practicing. There's always something new for you to take and learn about and put it into practice with your beats through practice and time and patience. And if you feel like my beats aren't going anywhere, I'm not getting any better or whatever, listen to a beat of yours from a few months ago and tell me you're not getting better. Tell me that the practice isn't worth it. You know what I mean? Even if you've improved your drum programming in 6 months of making beats, that's the only thing that you've improved at. That's improvement. You know what I mean? Any improvement is a sign that you should keep going. Don't stop. Don't give up on yourself, because it takes a while. Kanye himself said in an interview back in 2005, I think, someone was asking him questions in the studio, and he literally looked at the camera in his very upfront and in-your-face Kanye way, said, I used to suck, and that's just the truth. I used to suck, and now I'm good at this. And that's kind of the case with everybody. Nobody really just sits down in front of the computer and they're perfect out the gate. You know, it takes practice, it takes time. And no matter how good you are, there's always something that you should keep learning and keep practicing at, because you can only get better. You can't get worse if you're practicing every single day, or practicing whenever you feel like it and not forcing it. And honestly, making things that you're passionate about and trying to get better at your craft, you're not going to get worse at it. And this leads into tip number 10, which I believe to be the most important. It's the number 1 tip that I always give to everybody who tells me that they want to get into producing and they need to know something that will really help them. Be patient. Just be patient. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your equipment. Unless you've got the cash to really invest in a nice studio, a nice PC, nice monitors, out the gate to start producing with really good equipment, you're probably not going to start with the best stuff. You're not going to start off with the nicest PC. My PC is old to this day, and it barely runs FL Studio with 2 Omnisphere presets open at the same time. I've got to export them and re-import them into the beat and things like that, or else it will crash. You know what I mean? But you've got to work with what you've got. You've got to be patient with yourself, because like I said, no one's going to be great out the gate. You've got to learn that at first, you're most likely not going to make good music. You're most likely not going to make nice beats. But as long as you're passionate about your craft and you're passionate about the stuff that you're making, you will improve. It takes time. I've been at this for 6 years, and I was really inconsistent, 5 or 6. And I was really inconsistent. It's been 6 now, it's 2020. Yeah, 2014 to 2020. I was really inconsistent with my practice. I used to take hiatuses where I would just not produce for 6 months. And that really stopped me from getting to, it stopped me from being as good as I could be right now. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm not as good as I could have been if I had not taken those 6-month, year-long hiatuses and stopped practicing. I was inconsistent. If I had been patient with myself and been consistent and let myself grow naturally, I could be a lot better than I am right now. But that's what I'm doing now. And I feel like my beats are improving at a really fast rate because I'm just being patient. I know that my equipment's not the best. I know that my computer's not the best. My ears are still not perfect. I don't have as much experience as someone who has been doing this consistently for 10 plus years. I don't have the following that somebody who has been doing this for a very long time has. And you've just got to be patient with your growth and with yourself. Everybody grows at a different rate. And not everybody is going to be Metro Boomin. Not everybody is going to be, Nick Mira. Not everybody is going to be Mike Dean or Kanye West. And that's just, it's just a fact. That's just life. You could be just as good as them and not have the following that they have. But that's okay, as long as you love the music you're making, and as long as you're patient with yourself, and patient with your equipment, patient with the growth that your following is growing at, the rate that your following is growing at, you'll get there eventually. Whether you get there in a few months or a few years, you'll get there. Just the patience is key. The patience with yourself and with everything around you that you've got is key. So just be patient with yourself. And that's the most important tip that I have for today. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your days to listen to these tips. If you feel like they were worth your while, if you feel like they helped you out at all, let me know in the comment section. If you want more videos like this where I kind of sit down and talk through some of the skill set that I have gained over these few years that I've been doing this, then let me know. If you let me know, I will do it. And if you didn't really like this video, also let me know. And I won't do videos like it anymore, because the whole goal with this channel is to produce content that you guys are invested in, that you guys like to watch, and obviously content that I'm invested in as well, but I want to make what you guys want to watch. So like I said, if you want to support the channel, the Patreon link is in the description. If you don't want to become a patron because you have to go to another site, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. You can subscribe, you can follow me on my social media and hit me up if you need tips, if you need help with anything, or if you want reactions to your own music. I would love to do that as well. Yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back in another video very soon. Until then, stay safe. Peace out.